guys, happy Friday and welcome back to Guild Chat. I'm your host Ruby, and today we're talking about the episode 2 Guild Wars trailer for Living World. We really appreciated how much you guys liked it and how much fun you had with it, so I thought it might be cool if we got some of the developers who were involved in the making of that on Guild Chat today and talk about that. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves? We have 3 new faces today. Just let us know your name and what you do here at ArenaNet and what your role was in the trailer.
All right. Well, my name is Chelsea Shooter. I am the cinematic lead. My role was like quality control, putting out fires, kind of just helping with making sure everything gets done.
And I'm Chris Burgess. I'm a sound designer, and I work with the cinematics team to provide all their audio needs in terms of sound effects and mixing, and working with our composer McLean to deliver music assets.
My name is Jason Byfield. I'm a cinematic artist at ArenaNet, and I was the video editor for the episode 2 trailer.
Thank you guys so much. A quick note for all of you watching, we're going to be taking some questions at the end of the show, so if you think of something during the show, just drop it in chat, and at the end, these guys will try to answer some of those. So, all right, let's get started. Let's just talk about how the process started first. This began with narrative coming to you guys, right? And saying, here's the we want to tell this story.
Yeah, so this trailer was focused more on let's try to tell the story with episode 2 without giving anything away. And the idea, so Jessica Price was the writer for the script, and her direction to us was we want it in 2 parts. So one is kind of like a fun heist, it's an adventure, a record scratch kind of happens in between, and then we get into like horror and destruction. So then that gets handed over to Jason, and it's like, all right, Jason, go. Figure something out.
Yeah, so my typical process is that I take the script and I usually just lay text right out on the screen, time it out with some music, trying to fit the tone, and then we start trying to figure out what shots we want. We have meetings beforehand where we talk about what the team wants to show for the trailers and what they don't want to show, and kind of keep as surprises for when people are playing the episode. And then, we keep adding shots, we keep polishing until we have a final product. And sometimes there's little things that happen and happy accidents that happen to make things awesome.
So for this one, so we had our first review, I think, in the first week. And it was just text. It's like, yeah, okay, this is like we're on par, what we need to do. And then the second time we had a cinematic review, Jason comes in and he's like, okay, I know this is going to be weird. I had a dream last night. I did as much as I could to implement it all this morning, so let's take a look. So we watched it, and then the whole team was like, what? What did we just watch?
Yeah.
So do you want to kind of explain what
sure.
that presentation was from your dream?
So we had figured out pretty early that we wanted to have kind of 2 tones in this video. We wanted to start with kind of a heist feel, Ocean's 11, like adventurous, fun heist type sound,
totally.
type feel, a tone, and then we were going to do a pretty hard transition into what was the term that we used? We wanted it to be like
Haunting.
Haunting. That's right, haunting.
Around,
yeah. It started out as kind of creepy, and then we kind of moved on to haunting. And as what happens to me is I'll do a lot of work I'll be focused on something for hours and hours, and then that work kind of bleeds into my personal life and sleep time.
Yeah.
We've all dreamed about work at
Right,
one point.
yeah.
That's when it's time to
Yeah.
take a short break.
Yeah.
In this case, I was dreaming about the second half of the trailer, and I can't remember. That's the Cinderella song from Lana Del Rey and Maleficent.
Once Upon a Dream.
Once Upon a Dream. Thank you. Kept playing over that footage, and I was like, oh man, this. When I woke up, I was like, oh, this would be perfect. We know we can't use it, but I'm gonna put it in just to see how it feels.
But let's see if we can use it.
Yeah. And maybe there's something there. So anyway, I played it for everybody, and there was kind of like this, like what, but it worked. Like the tone felt really good, and so then, moving forward from that, we needed to figure out a way to either use this music in some way, or a variant of this music in some way, or find something that fits that exact same kind of tone, that same kind of feel.
Well, because with the Lana Del Rey song, there were some questions because the tune itself, the actual song without the lyrics, is public domain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was made many years ago, and so that's public domain now. If we were to use that or use a variant of it that we made ourselves, I think we all felt that it wouldn't be quite the same connection without some sort of lyrics.
Right.
And so I had asked the question, do we have a song in the Guild Wars universe that has lyrics that the fans would recognize that might work for this case? And Chelsea suggested maybe Fear Not This Night.
Fear Not This Night.
Yeah.
I've been listening to it for a while, and the lyrics, when you think about them, they can go either way. It's supposed to be a song about hope and overcoming the darkness, but when I was listening to it, it's like, this could go like as if we're supposed to embrace the darkness. And so it was like, hey, we've got this song. Can we make that work with what we're trying to go for? So then we go to audio.
And Chris is just sitting here the whole time like...
Yeah, no, they came up with that idea, and it's like, yes, we have this song, we can do this. And I think what we initially set out to do was come up with a vertical slice of the song to see if it was going to work. So we said... we went to McLean and said, can we do one verse of this song to see if sonically this is going to be haunting, if it's going to fit the tone, if anybody's even going to like it. And we got that back from him, and we had references from singers like Matt Berninger from The National, in sort of that lower baritone register, and the pacing was slowed down and chilled out to be a little creepier. And we got that back from McLean, and I think that was pretty instantly resonated with the people in the room hearing that. So we knew, hey, we want to pursue this. This is going to be something special.
Yeah, it was something special is such a good description. It absolutely was. And we talked before about how you guys, especially once the studio reaction started trickling in, because we were all watching it over and over and over, watching this progress in the studio. And when that version of Fear Not This Night came in, everybody was going nuts, and you guys saw that, and we're like, uh-oh.
We have our own internal spot where we post a lot of our work in progress stuff. And for the most part, it's usually pretty quiet as far as comments. But this one, like, there was line after line of comments, like, where can I find that song? Where can I download that song internally?
Yeah, and that's just the company. And
yeah.
So you knew that once it got out in the wild, people were going to want more.
Yeah, we had McLean do the short version, and then we got it back, and everybody was loving it, and internally they were loving it, and we spoke to him, McLean, and said, if we do this, you're signing up to do the full-length song. And it was just sort of this, like, eyes back and forth. And I don't know. We were happy with the vision. We wanted to go for it, and he said, yes, we will do it. And he's usually very busy with, we need him to write music for the game, to go in the game. So we were just trying to figure out, when can we schedule this? Can we get the full version out with the trailer? And it's just like, we can't have him do it. So we pushed it out. But yes, we both knew when we were talking what we were signing up for, what he was signing up for.
And I want to mention, too, you and McLean both these guys are absolute heroes, because this was kind of outside of both of your wheelhouse, and the original intent was McLean's just putting in scratch vocals. And there was,
that's a thing.
I know you're like, no, it wasn't, we're not the heroes, but you guys worked really, really hard and stepped out of your comfort zone to create this, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was, at the time we were looking for a vocalist, and we were talking, who's it going to be, who are we going to get, how are we going to find someone, and in the meantime we said, McLean, can you just do some scratch vocals, or some temp vocals as we call them? And we just kept hearing it over and over again in the reviews, and we were like, oh, this voice is pretty good, can you do the whole thing? And I think there was a little trepidation there on his part, but when the trailer and the song came out, just watching on Twitter the fan reaction and the fan love to McLean, I thought was really
so
cool.
much fun.
And hopefully there was some payoff there for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He put himself out there for sure.
He did. And McLean actually wanted to join us today, and he's moving house this week, so did not have time. But huge thanks to McLean for all of the work on that. And to you, Chris, also. Because it was frustrating. Your boss fled the country. Hey,
No.
Drew's not in here, man. He's gonna come in here. But yeah, so that was, and you guys blew off some steam, and that turned out well too.
Yeah. Well, so in the process of this, I ended up mixing and mastering the Fear Not This Night, the actual version. I had sent about 8 pages of mix notes to McLean and say, hey, can you try these things to make it sound better? And he said, well, why don't you do it? And I said, well, okay.
I feel like the conversation did not go. Maybe there was a little more to that conversation.
Sorry, there's...
No, I'm just teasing you about the amount of animosity that was probably not there.
In that conversation, I don't think it was a problem there, but just talking about the production of a song, there's the writing of it, there's the recording, the arrangement, and the mixing, and I was contributing to the mixing, and you're listening to this song, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of times, over and over again, trying to polish it, and it was important to me that the quality bar of this song matched that of like any top 40 song out there. I wanted it to really shine in terms of just the sonic quality of it. And so there was a lot of frustration just listening to it over and over again. And one morning I came in and my neighbor, Jerry Schrader, who's another sound designer here, said, well, what would it sound like if there was sort of like a Southern folksy version? And in a moment of frustration and spite, we got out the microphones and made this For Not This Evening Hillbilly Joko version over the course of about 3 hours. And then it got released.
I asked permission.
No, you did ask permission, and it was so
You said I
strange
could.
because everybody was so happy about it, and they were so
It
excited.
makes me happy.
It makes people happy.
It's
and
a happy song.
they come to me and they say, wow, this is the best thing ever. And I was like, I'm trying to emotionally relate to you because I made it in such a moment of frustration, but I'm happy. Everyone's happy. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were like yelling lyrics back and forth at each other down the hall, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, Jerry asked that question, what would it sound like if it was a Southern version? And I think he was going, instead of fear not this night, it was just fear not this night, you will not go. And we're doing this voice back and forth. And I said, okay, get the microphones. And we were pulling people in one at a time because we were all singing on it. Joseph Clark brought in his jaw harp to do all these silly sounds for it. So blowing off steam in a very creative outlet, I guess.
And it worked out well. You guys have this gift because Chris said yes when I asked permission to release it. So thank you. Thank Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Chris, I don't even know what happened here. It was a good thing
I
that
sent
happened.
it to like one or two people and that expected that to be it. And
Oh,
then
dude,
it's like
no.
it just had legs. It ran
Yeah.
off and I was like, oh.
You sent it to us.
Yeah, you sent
what
it to
did
the
you
wrong people.
expect?
I guess so, yeah.
I mean,
Don't tell anybody.
Meanwhile, I'm emailing the entire office.
Sending it to the entire studio.
Yeah.
if you think Cinematics isn't going to be mischievous, then I mean, come on, you work with us every day.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But it was the song for the front half was also causing some frustration.
Yeah,
too, right?
let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
So
Are you okay?
No, I'm good.
it was a hard process because normally when we do a trailer, we have one piece of music that covers the whole thing. But in this case, we had the A section and the B section where we wanted the heist and we wanted the fun, and then we wanted to go into the haunting thing. So again, going back to McLean is busy, and we want him to be writing in-game music, and we're like, hey, we don't need one piece of trailer music, we need two. And we ended up going to Jerry Schrader, who is an excellent funk bass player. And we said, we want to do this heist funk music. Can you go home and come up with something? And then the next day he came in with this great funk piece. And there was something about seeing like the beginning of the trailer with the Living World logo pop up, and you were hearing like saxophone and guitar riffs. It was so ludicrous and funny and eye-catching. I was like, wow, this is great. And it didn't sound anything like Guild Wars or Fantasy, and we got told like, hey, this is not on
This
brand.
is off brand.
Sounds nothing like Guild Wars 2 and Fantasy.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we have it today. We should. We're in this room. It's fine. We should. Should we share? Do you guys think we should share?
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, let's share it.
Well, remembers to another bright day in Lab Alpha 19, creating yesterday's futures today. I found lab notes from one of the Inquest scientists, a portal specialist.
So if we find the scientist, we find the base Joko's using to launch his attacks.
I suggest you and your friends pose as a mercenary dropping off test subjects. That should get you inside.
The commander leading me around in chains? Not a chance.
I agree that it doesn't fit the brand, and I totally understand, but I love that we have this. And Jerry just like went home and kind of knocked this out for fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I just, I am for fun.
Yeah.
Much like the Soggy Joko Brothers version was fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like I was telling you yesterday while we were talking, though. As a not musician, I remain in awe. All of this is just like magic to me. Like you just went in there and performed something incredible, and
Yeah, a lot of us have a musical background, and we work in sound design now, and that's been part of my job with this trailer. Was when we scrapped this direction, I'm trying to lock down the direction that the stakeholders are happy with before we even hand it to McLean, so that what he's doing isn't throwaway work, per se. So then we came up with more of like a mashing together Mission Impossible and $6 Million Man sketch of music, and then we got that approved, and I handed it to McLean and basically said, here's the idea they like, can you make this sound good? Which he did. So he ended up doing both of them.
thank you, McLean.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I think the final version on the front half worked really well because we were pushing for more humorous Snatch because we will always push for humor.
Well, and that's that contrast. Right?
yeah, and
like we wanted that fun
absolutely.
that goes into like, wait, what?
Yeah. But then, how to put things in brand. So I think you guys did an amazing job
Yeah, that was
striking that balance.
that was a fun knife's edge to watch.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It paid off.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It did. It did quite a lot. And the temporary camera angles and the temp vocals in there really speak to a lot of the progression. This just goes through so many iterations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And changes so much while
Yeah.
you're doing that.
I think we were close to like 60 or 70 iterations on this one piece.
Yeah.
So
Good
yeah, we went through a lot.
Yep.
And those voices you were hearing on there, those are people in-house. Those are temp VO guys.
I was wondering, do you remember who they were?
Ben.
So Ben, yourself,
Myself. I think Chelsea. You were.
was I some of the Asurans?
Yeah, I don't know. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I tried to do the Azuran myself, but
No,
lower register.
Yep. Higher pitched voice. I
Yeah.
got it.
Excuse me.
Short,
Yeah.
etc.
But yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I mean, this is something that I don't think a lot of people get to see is the temp kind of slates, the text slates in, and temp shots that have game text all over it. So,
Yeah,
little
and it's
behind the scenes peek there.
It is. It's neat to see because we know they don't just spring into being completed in one iteration, but it's kind of cool to take that look and be like, hey, here's kind of where we started, and it's just basically storyboarded
Oh
and
yeah, it's
scratched
super
in
rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the temp versions of the character call outs, like those look so
Yeah.
different now than they did in that version. So
So we've talked a lot about the music, but something that I was looking at in there reminded me that I also want to talk about Duncan.
Oh, right. Our player character for marketing. So in previous marketing trailers, we would kind of just have a mash of player characters, but that can get really hard to tell a story because then you don't know, like, who is the focus around, right? I mean, are we traveling with one person through this? So for Path of Fire trailer is when we first created Duncan. And then the plan for season 4, if we're going to show story, we need someone to represent the player character so that we have
Someone
a basis.
consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what to go around. So we were in Alona, so I decided let's do, African American male. And the name Duncan comes from back in my Guild Wars 1 day, I met a friend in Guild Wars 1. And in one of our stories we had, one of her characters' name was Duncan. So this is kind of a tribute to my friend that I met way back when, in those early days.
Aw, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
And we had talked, Crystal Reed and Byron Miller have talked before on Guild Chat about how a lot of the raid characters, raid bosses are named after old friends of theirs, like from raiding days way back when. So it's neat seeing that in there, and it's not just we pulled a name out of a hat. It's actually kind of meaningful.
Yeah.
And it has a story behind it.
Yeah.
So, and that worked out well with the decoy pun too.
Yes. Decoy for Duncan.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
When I was putting the trailer together, we knew we wanted to do kind of character call outs similar to what you would see in in Snatch, the movie Snatch.
Yeah.
Just freeze frame, with some sort of title, not their actual name. So I just was quickly iterating on stuff, and I threw some ideas out, fully expecting that narrative would come back and make them good. And they decided they liked him. So yeah, all of the names that you see in the character callouts are just me messing around, and that just happened to make it through all the way to final edit.
Turns out the names that you came up with were good all on their own.
I guess, yeah. I should go join the narrative now.
Please, someone, one of these days, someone from another team is just going to bust in here while we're live
Right.
and be like, no.
No,
Right.
no, there's a joke that other teams steal from cinematics all the time, so please
Yeah.
don't.
No. I like
And
where
now
I'm at.
everybody's going to come in here.
Oh, no. No, I need my team members.
No, it worked out really, really well. And I know you and I had talked a little bit about, you send that off to localization because we have to support all 4 languages.
Right.
And it's like, so here's a pun.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I
Yeah.
specifically called out, hey, especially for Rox's like
Ferocious,
ferocious.
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how well this is going to translate in other languages, but they figured out a way. So
Yeah.
we have an awesome localization team.
We do, and huge shout out to our Loc team because they deal with, we hand off this weird stuff all the time because just by virtue of what we do, it's just, there's some weirdness constantly in process, and they handle it like champions. So thank you so
And
much.
quickly too. It's great.
Yeah, they do. So that was kind of awesome. Let's talk a little bit about just for lack of a better word, just the cinematics in general and the camera angles and the shots, because it was such a huge group effort that you guys did.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It was massive. We had a ton of people.
All hands on deck.
Pretty much, yeah. I think every person on the Cinemax team touched us in some way or another.
Yep.
We had Ben, who did the motion graphics stuff, and he also did the effects for the back half and the transition into it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Ben did some mocap, didn't he?
Not
he's-
for this.
not for this
not-
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No
No.
mocap this trailer. That's coming up. Yeah.
We had Martin did a lot of the cinematic camera shots for the back half. He's great with cameras. My favorite of his is the very final shot of the Awaken behind the waterfall. It's so good.
That
Yeah.
super creepy shot.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And then Greg on support with animation.
Yep, Greg supported animation. He did I don't know how many iterations we went through on the Joko painting, the portrait, where we just kind of were trying to figure out that perfect mix of subtlety without giving it away that Joko actually moves in the painting. On that specific one, we must have gone through 20 iterations, like 15 to 20 iterations on it. And we wanted to get we were trying to get about 30% of people who watched the trailer to notice it, with the idea being that they would go on the forums and say, "Did you see Joko moved?
Yeah.
They moved." And I think we nailed it. I think we got about what we wanted. There were when it went live, there were comments on Reddit that were saying,
Did you? Yeah.
did you see that? Did you see
Yeah.
that? And then people would go back and watch it. And I think there's actually spikes. If you can look at the traffic, there's spikes in the trailer
Like on the
right
video
on that
viewing,
point.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I think the whole back half was about subliminal messaging in a way.
Yeah.
So the way the shots are,
Mhm.
like the long hallway shot,
Mhm.
when they jump through that video camera, you know, there's the dead char. It kind of is this whole build-up of not in-your-face horror, but that
very spooky and very creepy.
Yes.
More subtle.
trying to mess with the mind a little bit. And I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
what we were definitely trying to go for. So the first half is this comedy snatch feel.
Yep.
Second half is this very mental game, spooky,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is why the haunting lyrics really kind of just played in with the visuals that you were going for.
Yeah.
We had, just more people that worked on this. Just a quick call out for them. We had concept
Please.
artists a concept artist that worked on the slates, the character call outs. Joey from
Marin.
marketing, who worked on the text, the graphic design for the text. Who else do we have? We had a environment artist that actually created that Joko portrait area. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I'm sorry. And then obviously all the audio people that worked on it too. There's
Tom
just a ton of
Abernathy on the
people.
lyrics.
Tom.
Tom
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
the tweaking of the final lyric there.
And of course, both Jessica and Tom with reviews.
Right.
Make sure
Yeah.
that
we have a
we're-
ton of people that go and
Yeah.
review these. Like these things go through a huge gamut of people that take a look at everything and make sure that we're not showing things we're not supposed to be showing. And there's no bugs and that kind of thing. So no game bugs.
Right.
There's a bug at the end of this one.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a dad. I make dad jokes.
it's okay. And I appreciate you. Gosh, you guys should have heard the puns last week. It was horrendous, and people still haven't recovered. We were talking about the underwater update.
Oh, yeah.
And just the water and swimming and fishing puns were just awful. in the best way. It was good. Dara would have been proud. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Why don't we take a look at the trailer and then we'll answer some questions. Sound
Sure.
good?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see the finished product.
Welcome, crew members, to another bright day in Lab Alpha 19, creating yesterday's tomorrows today.
Bad news. Zero idea where the base is, but I did find the name of a scientist there.
So, if we find the scientist, we find the base Joko's using to launch his attacks.
One of their convoys just received an unusual order to delay their arrival. Taking their place should get you inside.
The commander leading me around in chains? Not a chance.
The administration. Rumors of invading forces in the area.
Fear not this night. You will not go astray. Those shadows fall. Still the stars find their way. Who needs the light? Fear not this night.
Point.
All right. So are we good to go, Mark? Yeah. Okay. I'll let whoever wants that question take it.
Yeah. So the question is, how do you decide to portray the tone transition to give a sense of impending doom after everything's fine? That is kind of like how we do that, or why? Oh wait, those are two different questions. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay. We're having there's like a tiny technical difficulty that we're working on in the background, but in the meantime, we can see the questions for the most part.
Okay.
How do you decide how to portray the commander?
That question. All right. So that was the Duncan character. Because we were in Alona, we wanted to just represent an Alonian being the hero for that region, and since season 4 is still part of this whole region from Path of Fire, that's why we went with an Alonian character to represent the commander. That could probably change depending on who knows what, but for season 4, it's going to be an Alonian male.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fair. And it's consistent. So you know this is who we're looking at. This is the representation of the player character.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I can take the second one if you want.
Sure.
Blackheart Gary asks, was the tone transition to give a sense of impending doom after everything is fine? We purposely wanted to have a really high contrast of this, happy, bustling Inquest base that's nice and clean and not messed up, and then we transition quickly into, oh no, there's problems here. And Chelsea brought up one of the ways we did that was the announcer voice at the beginning is, just a regular announcer voice into the facility, and then as we transition into the messed up, destroyed base, we hear a corrupted version of that recording playing. And there's color changes too. We go into a little more gloomy. There was a lot of stuff that we used to try to sell that transition between everything's great and no, things are not.
Yeah. It's using the uncanny valley to our advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You take something that's normal and then you just start to tweak it so it's not normal anymore, and that really gets people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I love it.
And there's a progression too in the back half. We're initially things are you can tell there's something wrong, but you don't know what's going on.
Yep.
And then as we get later in the trailer, you see there's slime and all sorts of craziness. So,
yeah.
Nice. So I have one here. Lemony is asking about the timeline, like how far ahead you start working on trailers. We've established you don't knock them out in a week.
Question.
Oh, right. So my ideal time schedule for cinematics in general is about 4 months ahead. I would always like more. With trailers, though, we usually have to wait until the episode's further along so that we can grab the assets and, represent what the episode's really going to be about. So on average, I would say we have about 2.5 months to work on the trailer. Even that's tight from my comfort level.
Right.
I prefer 3 months, but we can do it fairly comfortably in 2.5 months.
Yeah.
We get to the month range and we're sweating bullets and we got to figure something out.
Just building upon what you said, there's a lot of stuff that kind of comes online in that last month or so before release.
Yep.
And so we kind of have to be pretty flexible. And I try to nail at least the tone. We can start working on music, that kind of stuff early. And then it's shot replacement later. I build a lot of shots, so once assets kind of come online, I can go back and recapture fairly easily. But there's a lot of work we can do beforehand before assets are finalized.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge deal. The biggest problem on was it this one? I think it was this one was we pulled lines from the script and built around that. Using temp VO, and then the script is always changing, even up to the point where they record.
Oh, that's right.
So when it came time to record, the lines got subtly changed, and we kind of had to figure out a way of using what was recorded to still sell the same message that we had before. So that kind of stuff, it happens, but it's not usually a huge deal.
You seem to have worked with it extremely, extremely well.
We get used to it. Yeah.
And it is a very good team, especially. Like you said, everybody came together on this one, and so many people had a hand in it.
Yeah.
Chris, I think that one's for you.
Yeah. Does the audio team use Fmod or something built in-house? And Fmod is a audio middleware, which typically is implemented in between the proprietary audio tools to make the sounds, like a digital audio workstation, and the game engine. I believe our tool, which I don't know how old it is built off of the Fmod API, but we are not actually interfacing with Fmod's commercial interface. We're using our own proprietary tools.
Awesome.
Although I'm sorry, I was going to say for the cinematics, most of the work is done in Nuendo, which is a linear digital audio workstation editor. And then that gets exported into our proprietary audio tool, and we just, for the most part, just hit play, and it plays back the audio for whatever cinematic is being played in-game.
Nice. Yeah. Here's one for who does what. DraxJohn wants to know, are you the same team that does the in-game cinematics?
Yes. So I am the team lead for everyone. That does in-game cinematics.
In the whole building.
In the whole building. No, not for everyone. So Jason is kind of just dedicated to marketing, and we're trying to give more love to that. Before, in the past with season 3, it was whoever had the time to fill in the trailer, and it was actually done a lot by Steve, the previous lead, before he moved on to being an art director. And he did a really good job, but he also, there's balance to what you can do in a day. And so when I took over, I hired Jason to take on for marketing, and then we have about 5 others that will focus a lot on in-game.
Yeah.
And they all have their specialties.
You needed more hands, and Steve was a superhero, but
he was a
we
superhero.
Don't like to break people.
Yes, but he moved on to being an art director.
Yeah.
And while I only work on marketing stuff for the most part, we do have team meetings and stuff where we get to show all of what we're working on. So that's my opportunity to, while I don't directly work on cinematics in game, I get to, give editing notes or when I that looks great, or what if we tried this type stuff.
Have a hand in the process.
Yeah.
And if we had more time, I'd throw you on in-game stuff too.
Yeah, right now.
When there's time. When there's time.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like there weren't very many questions because people had questions and you guys answered them in the course of the chat. So good work.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you guys very, very much for your time. I appreciate you coming to talk about the trailer because this was such an enormous hit. And thank you guys for spending some time with us this afternoon. And we will call it good and let you guys get back to work. And I will see you guys next Friday.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Which camera? I don't know.